I have talents and I have potential and I know where I want to go. So I definitely found my sort of...
The whole realm of politics is fraud anyway. It's whoever's buying you out. Nobody pays to go see the Constitution of the United States.
And his looks are busted now.
The IGA biscuits are the Pillsbury biscuits. Yeah. At least you're the Pillsbury ones, that's right? You put on that mask, you get put in office, and then you go, who the fuck are you again? Get the fuck out of here.
It's such a shame that we have a Constitution.
Just because they go and kneel at the same building you kneel at does not mean that this person is capable of actually executing the job that it is required of them.
Yeah, you're a unicorn. You're a horse of a different color. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I have a flair for the dramatic, like I'm here for it, and I work well in like board meetings and stuff when I know what I'm talking about, but I know
when you're in your element. When it comes up though, they're kowtowing and they're not standing up for free speech. I mean, because the guy that was in charge of it had to stand up for people that were spewing Nazi shit. He was like, free speech is free speech. He goes, do you think I wanted to support Nazis? Yeah. He goes, but I stood up for them to be able to, practice that amendment. Sometimes the podcast just disappears for a couple of months, a couple of weeks. You never know. But I'm like a roach. You can't kill me. I'm going to pop back up every once in a while. And today, we have another guest. Matt, how are you?
Good morning. I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm good. Tell everybody who you are.
Happy Mardi Gras.
Oh, Lord. Here he goes with Mardi Gras again.
It is what it is. Throw me something, mister.
You know what? I'm not festive. That's my problem. Some people tell me about holidays. I'm just like, what the fuck ever.
It's whatever.
This shit can't make me any money. This shit don't pay my bills. Why the fuck am I wasting my time with this? Yet, when I was younger, I was drunk all the time and celebrating every fucking thing. Maybe I got all that out my system before I was 35, because, mind you, I had done every freaking drug under the sun except for meth. I never fucking touched that shit.
Me too, every kind of way. So I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Arizona, and once we moved here, every Mardi Gras that I was here, I was working for Mardi Gras in some sort of function.
Oh, so now you're definitely going to soak it all in.
Of it. No, it's just never been a thing for me. It was never a thing. I mean, I will from time to time go and pop in and hang out with friends. But so I worked at Burger King and Domino's. We hawked goods around the parade route, and then I was a private investigator, so I was investigating people committing insurance fraud.
He's like, wait a minute, the best time to catch my subjects is during Mardi Gras. Because they are out and about.
You joke, but I have literally, with a video camera, walked the entire Youngsville parade and filmed a gentleman with a right arm injury throwing shit all parade long.
We ain't paying out that claim.
My dogs were barking at the end. Thankfully, well, I hate to even say that, but someone fell off a float and was seriously injured. I apologize for saying thankfully. But it stopped the parade long enough that I could sit on the curb and just prop my camera up. And I was rubbing my feet. Like, that is a long parade route, and there's a lot of people.
In Youngsville?
But, I mean, in his face with the camera the whole time, and he was drunk and never even saw
Don't even know. That had to be a cute. What is that called?
I'm not so sure that I should be telling this information, but
well, we didn't say anybody's name. I mean,
shit. Or the client, but also
nobody knows you work for AJ's.
Maybe don't commit insurance fraud.
Service.
Maybe don't commit insurance fraud.
Oh, so Matt, we got you in the studio today. Tell everybody what you do. First of all, hold on, wait a minute. I always ask everybody this. How the hell do you know me?
God, I don't know. So the first time you came into my purview was for Pride this year. Wendy Dorfman said that there was some sort of gift certificate that you were giving for the
for Sugar Wolf.
Yeah, for Sugar Wolf. Yeah. That was the company.
Yeah. It was late in the game too. Whenever they
How do I know you?
Approached and said, "Hey, would you want to donate to it?" And they asked me the day that it was the deadline, and I was like, "Oh, I got to throw something together real quick." So
how do I know you?
I did that.
I don't know. Oh, did we match on Tinder?
Might have been. On
Tinder.
You're
a handsome man.
Last year and year before I was on there. And now I'm just like, no. And then I heard about a Tinder swindler too. Like, holy shit.
That shit was fascinating.
I watched the hell out of that.
I would have loved to be in charge of figuring that dude out and finding him. That's the kind of stuff I'm into.
You don't have to, but you don't have to figure out. He's out there just doing the same thing. He's still posting on his old Instagram. He's got all the cars and all that. He's swindling people still.
How can we get involved? Need to find a pretty woman who looks like
anybody that's fallen for his shit is just blind.
I mean,
And then if you're on Twinder, and then if you're on Tinder, then that means you're pretty inapt to social media and getting around and seeing what's going on all this stuff. So you would know it's him.
Yeah.
There's nothing that he could say because he's already done this God knows how many times. So yeah,
I think we matched on Tinder, and then I don't know, you seemed fascinating, and then I realized you had a podcast, and I was like,
got a lot of shit going
a
on.
lot.
And then I got off of all of the apps because I just realized I don't have time for people.
I don't either. Yeah, no.
Like literally.
There's too busy, too many causes.
What did you'd suggested something, when was it, a day or two ago, but every night, like after Proficient, I am now like on a call with people in California. And then when India wakes up, I'm on a call with the people in India.
Yeah.
Because we're developing software. This is a side thing that's going on.
Yeah.
So it's not.
Do you sleep?
I sleep when I do pass out.
I mean, you look fairly rested.
there's
like a tiny twinkle in your eye. It could be Visine. No, I don't know what happens off camera.
It could be that ancient that ancient alien Egyptian in me that, and then I find out I'm not even Egyptian. There's no Egyptian in me, and I've been using that saying forever. I was like, that fucking sucks. I'm Russian more than anything. I mean, it's crazy.
Team Ukraine.
But nonetheless, it's just this hybrid DNA I have. I abuse the hell out of myself and can do whatever and don't look like I'm falling apart.
I understand. I feel it sometimes. Like, there's a distinct amount of anti-inflammatory gel in my life these days. Voltaren.
Constant.
See if you can get a sponsorship. That stuff
if Mountain Dew wouldn't sponsor me, nobody would, and that's like
Crown Royal.
I mean, no, they wouldn't sponsor me either.
ACLU of Louisiana.
Somebody told me to put a piece of tape on the mic, and I was like, why the fuck would I do that? I mean, nobody's paying me to do anything, so why would I hide what mics I'm using?
No, because then that's just one more spinning plate, one more ball for you to be. No, we're not trying to work through sponsorships.
So you said. It probably was mainly Tinder, and then from there,
I just thought you were fascinating.
Kind of shared what you had been doing. Mm-hmm. You're the head of an organization here locally.
Yes, PFLAG Lafayette.
I mean, what are you doing now?
Now I'm looking for my next big adventure. So
you said private investigating. So I mean, you were doing that.
So I am officially saying that I'm a retired private investigator. But that, I mean, you don't ever really sort of retire. You still retain those skills, obviously. But I'm not employed as a person.
So do you have those natural nosy skills? Are you that neighbor that's just looking through the blinds? What the fuck are they doing over there?
Buddies. So I was actually talking about this on. I just started a YouTube channel to sort of document this journey.
What's the YouTube channel?
Oh, I don't even have enough subscribers right now to have like a special sort of name. But if you search YouTube, I don't. I need like 100 subscribers, and then I can personalize the name. Calm down. We're not on your level yet.
Okay, everybody, y'all go and subscribe to the channel we don't know, but I'll put it at the bottom here. It'll be in the description below.
Listen, if you search YouTube for #FreeMatty,
okay,
censorship at Lafayette Public Library, my videos will show up. But so I recorded a video this morning, and I was talking about I grew up in a very chaotic household, and my parents were always kind of at each other, and it led to a lot of inability to sleep because I'm always sort of waiting for something to happen, and so it's led to sort of anxiety,
like bad things. I mean, there's just a lot of abusive, dysfunctional things going on.
Yes, a lot. And I because I am so curious and nosy, I guess, and I do pay attention to detail, it has led to me researching myself a lot and getting to know myself and how I operate. And so being nosy, there's kind of a funny story there. My mom, ever since I became a private investigator, anytime she makes a new friend and I'm with her, or she runs into somebody else, she wants to make sure that they know my baby's a private investigator.
Son, can you do a check on me?
She's actually never asked
check
me
for me.
She's actually never asked me to do any investigation for her. She just wants everybody.
She probably
to
tells
know.
you because she's expecting you to automatically do it as a good son.
My mom's very. She's not really involved in a whole lot of things that she's very circle small. She's always been not out there involved with anything that would require any sort of investigation. But also, if there was a need for that, I would demolish that person if they were to injure my mother in any sort of way. But so she's got this sort of like line that she uses when she's telling everybody that her son's a private investigator, and it's "Leave it to my baby to figure out a way to get paid to be nosy." And it's true. But also, I'm not just nosy.
You got to be patient to do that, though, because you got to do a lot of sitting around. You got to do a lot of, I think it's boring because you really are just. I think of that following somebody around scenario and just stalking them basically because you can't be seen because you're not supposed to be like up in their face or anything like that because you're trying to catch somebody in the act of whatever somebody has accused them of.
Correct. Yeah. And so the only distinction between stalking and surveillance is that surveillance is legal with a license in the state of Louisiana.
So you're telling me a stalker could register as a private investigator and just like stalk people?
Well, you would have to have a legal cause of action to follow someone around. So in my case, it would be a client that would like to document their activities.
So you're telling me
insurance
PIs can't just go, that person looks suspicious, let me record them?
No.
Oh, really?
No, not at all. We have clients.
Oh, so you have to have like some kind of contract, some kind of legal order.
Correct.
Now,
if I was a licensed private investigator with the state, I'm bound by ethics, by legislation. And so if you needed me to investigate something, you would pay me as a licensed private investigator with the state, and I would be responsible for making sure that you actually had that we operated within the confines of the law to get whatever information you're looking for.
So why is it that people can actually follow people and record them and use that as evidence in court, and they're not a PI? This is going off of the whole stalker thing. It's, let's say you got Mary and you got Bob, they're married, and Mary is just pissed off and blah, 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 and she's just recording Bob every day doing this, doing that. And then all of a sudden they get divorced, and then she brings him to court and be like, you see, I recorded you doing this and this and this, and then she gets all this fucking money because she had all this recorded evidence of him being, either verbally abusive or yelling or he beat the dog or whatever the fuck, and to make him out to be a bad person. How is that,
I don't know that specific case, and I would not be comfortable sort of proposing the facts.
I'm not asking for like, give me your professional opinion.
So people have an expectation of privacy, and that's a big deal when it comes to the laws that govern.
What privacy? Everybody's on fucking social media showing their ass and all this other shit.
But legally, there is an expectation of privacy unless you are putting things out in the public domain. So, for instance, a private investigator, if somebody's outside committing insurance fraud in the back of their yard, in the back of their house, and there's a fence and there's slats in between the fence, a private investigator can't take extraordinary measures to go and zoom in between the cracks of the fence because that fence is up there and it asserts their expectation of privacy. So, in the event of a husband and a wife in some sort of domestic matter, she would be involved in the issue, so that's how she can secure that evidence.
Okay.
She could not plant cameras around someplace, so she couldn't put a camera in the bathroom and catch him doing something.
Well, even if you have cameras inside your house, say like in my house, because I have to watch these dogs all the time. Correct. So it's like if somebody does something and I've got it recorded and I'm using that in court, I mean that's legal to do because I mean it is my.
So you can record the people that are inside the home, that live inside the home, because it's their property. But for instance, you can't set up like a nanny cam in the bathroom. And because someone would have an expectation of privacy.
Shit, you're not supposed to be putting in cameras in bathrooms anyway, because that means you really up to some no motherfucking good if you got cameras in bathrooms.
Well, in your own bathroom. But we actually had this discussion at one of my continuing education classes, because what if there was this sort of speculation that a nanny or a babysitter was harming a child within the bathroom, that there should be the ability to record their activities in the bathroom covertly, and that is a slippery slope, and that is not a case that I would want to be on the receiving end of.
What is the psychological thing about people and kids and abusing kids and
no idea,
but it seems doing all these weird things?
But it seems that folks in town think that that's just sort of a predisposition for people simply because they're gay. That was the whole thing with Dragqueen Storytime, is they think that we're trying to sexualize children.
Okay, so you bring up a topic here that you were a part of and you're very well versed on. So a couple years ago, we had something going on in town where, the drag queens, everybody knows what drag queen is, and they were just at the library, just educating and telling stories. Could you tell the audience what that was about, what happened? And we live in a very racist, bigoted town that doesn't like anything that's not whatever religion we're a part of here.
Sure. Hello, audience. So I am the guy that sued over Dragqueen Storytime in Lafayette, Louisiana. So Delta Lambda Phi is a fraternity on UL's campus. They're a chapter of I don't know how large they are, but it's gay men who are in a fraternity together, and they approached the Lafayette Public Library with the idea that they wanted to do a Drag Queen Storytime. Now, their fraternity is very focused on service, opportunities to give back. And in this case, they're also, obviously, they're college students, so they're interested in education. Yeah. So the idea was they were going to do a Drag Queen Storytime. They approached the library approved it, and put it on the official agenda. And folks lost their ever-loving minds.
Whatever happened to, if you don't like something, don't partake in it?
Right. Right. We don't want you to shove
I
your
guarantee
lifestyle
you,
down our throats.
I'm not a religious person, but I don't go into their churches and go, I hate your religion. I hate religion. No, I leave them alone.
Mm-hmm. You can't do this here.
And that's what you do when there's something you don't believe in or don't like, is you don't partake in it. I wish that's something people would do here, because I guarantee you the ones that are doing that, you be damned, you tell them what to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't be here right now. I like you, so I'm here. I go and seek out the things that bring me joy in my life. And I mean, if drag queens don't bring you joy, honey, don't go to the goddamn library during Drag Queen Storytime.
Well, do you think there's some kind of underlying issue of self-hate or something like that?
No, I don't think it's self-hate. I think it's just
hate, period. Mm-hmm. It's just...
So what I've come to sort of understand with people in this general area, and not everybody, and not always. So that's one thing I want to be careful about, is I don't like to just sort of lump everybody into a pile, because we're all different. But I have found that there is a large, not as large as I think they are, but a large population of people in this town who, unless you think like them and believe like them and pray like them and love like them and live around where they live and make the money that they make, you're not going to have a seat at the table. And so they don't know about drag queens. And that's where we get back into the willful ignorance thing. They don't know.
That's a lie, because they got drag queens doing their makeup and doing their hair,
so
and,
what I
and
mean
making
is,
their clothes and all this other shit like that. They know that there's drag queens
around. What I mean
around.
is, right. So they understand it on an academic level, but they've never actually potentially been to, and some have, and again, it's not everybody, not always, but they have not actually met someone that does drag.
So these people,
they don't understand what the actual, they don't know the heart of a drag queen. Like they've never met Santana or Roxy or Kinley, the three that read for Storytime, to know why they do what they do. They don't see them as artists. They see them as gay men dressing up as a gender that they were not assigned at birth.
Did any of them try to get to know them?
Of course not.
Or did they go to one of the story times to see how it's going?
No, they protested it, because...
How can you protest something you don't even know what's going on?
Well, exactly. You just make a sign and you go stand outside.
And that's ill-informed right there. It's
100%.
like, be a part of it and understand what's going on before you can protest anything.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because you just don't know what's going on. You don't even know what you're protesting.
Yeah. And I get it. I mean, all that they often see from drag queens is sort of a pop star, sort of a Gaga, Britney, Christina essence, where they're scantily clad and they're performing gyrating motions on a stage. And so that's what they see. That's not what we brought to Drag Queen Storytime. We're not stripping in front of kids. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So, Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears and all these performers can do it because they're, cisgender heterosexual women that the guys are, hot for. Mm-hmm. But a guy can't get dressed and perform along the same lines in a group full of sort of adults for money as an artist, and have you understand that there's also a whole other side where they can also be sort of classy and well dressed. I mean, there are pageant queens who never get on stage and dance and do flips and stuff for money. Yeah. They only do really pageants. Big girls that don't wear a bunch of they're not showing a whole lot of flesh. Yeah. They're in evening gowns. They're working to get a tiara. And so, I think there's just this willful ignorance about what the agenda is. And I mean, there's just this whole other side of beliefs here who have no interest in learning what the mission was. And really the mission of Drag Queen Storytime was for this fraternity to do outreach at the public library to people that wanted to be there. They were reading stories, and the Storytime was geared to 3 to 6 year olds, and it was going to be stories about inclusion and tolerance. And one of the books was like, Pink is for Boys. And it's just sort of just shaking things up in terms of like gender identities, like or sort of gender understandings, because I love the color pink. Why can't boys like pink? Why
I
can't girls
believe
like blue?
Though that we were all raised on the old saying of be yourself. Mm-hmm. Love everybody. These basic little things that even I was raised off of, and these people tout the same thing. So that message is still going on, but they're not allowing anybody to be themselves. by actually cutting this off real fast. What happened with Dragqueen Storytime? Was that the name of it?
Dragqueen Storytime.
Okay.
Yeah. So, people really lost their minds, and the mayor president at the time came out and said that he would effectively. That was Joel Robideau. That was before Josh Guillory. He came out at the time and said that he would do everything within his power to stop it, and that created backlash. And the council at the time, it was a consolidated council, city parish council of 9 people, and in fact, my representative at the time. William Terrio and Jared Bellard from, I think, Scott. They came together and they co-authored a resolution of the council. And for those that don't know, a resolution is basically just a statement of opinion of the council. It has no legal binding. It takes no action. It costs no money. It's just we're making a statement. And they drafted a resolution basically just saying that they did not support the library having this type of programming. Now, it failed because people realized that that was really not something that they should be coming out on. I don't remember what the exact vote was, but there was several people that abstained. I think it was 6 people abstained, and 3, William Terrio, Jared Bellard, and if I'm not mistaken, Nanette Cook. Mm-hmm. And Nanette Cook's reasoning was that she was a school teacher and that this kind of went against whatever. In her defense, she did come back and sign. Now, as a city council, she did come back on and sign the Pride Proclamation, which we'll get to a little bit later. But so they came up with this resolution, and so at at LCG,
can a law come from a resolution?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you would have to have someone introduce an actual ordinance. An ordinance is the city laws. So,
but whenever they do a resolution, that puts eyes on something.
It does, yeah. It's an opinion of your elected officials at City Hall,
which could basically instigate an ordinance to, enact some kind of a law, right? Do you think that's what they were trying to do?
I don't think so. No, I think this was just this. This was them trying to get attention to it. This was them. I don't think it was very well intentioned, but in theory, the idea behind a resolution would be to find out what your constituents think about it. And their story was that all their constituents didn't want Dragqueen Storytime, so that's why they were voting against it.
When a majority of people probably didn't know nothing about it because people are going about their lives.
And so thank you so much for all that attention, William Terrio and Jared Bellard. Thank you for all that attention, because what it did was it brought 85 speakers out to Lafayette Consolidated Government that night. I know that because I was number 77. Mm-hmm. So that was September 18th.
Said, I've been in line all night.
That was September 18th, 2018. It was the night that led me down this path to finding my calling. So I was speaker 77, and up until that day, I was just a 38-year-old gay man sitting behind a desk doing private investigation stuff. And it was okay. It was enough for me to just be gay up until then. And I just knew I had to say something because and it's not that I really even like drag that much. I mean, in terms of art, it falls very low on the scale of things that I like. I prefer other forms of art. But what I really love is the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And so no one is going to say that people can't read in the public library. If you're a taxpayer, you can dress however you want. That's the First Amendment. And so I decided that I was going to draft comments, and then I was going to go to City Hall. I was like, yeah, fine, I'm going to go do this. And I was Mr. Hotshot until we pulled into the parking lot, and I saw how full it was. I mean, whoo, I can't do this.
Stage fright.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like people go, Tim, you seem outgoing. Bitch, I'm in my element.
Like, and don't get me wrong, I have a flair for the dramatic. Like, I'm here for it, and I work well in, like, board meetings and stuff when I know what I'm talking about, but I've never...
When you're in your element.
I didn't even know what the place looked like inside, and it is full of cars. I'm like, oh, we're really going to do this. So I did know that you can stream... because people were sharing it all over the place. I did know that you can actually watch the proceedings, and please take note of this, but you can actually watch the proceedings at City Hall and find out what is going on. And maybe if we could make a note to provide the link to people to watch so that they can get involved potentially. Yeah. So I'm sitting in my car with my now ex-husband at the time. He drove because I was shitting myself. And I'm sitting there streaming all of the people talking, and And I'm here.
And you know what I love about, so not to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I love the fact that you can actually watch most things. People hate this. And I used to tell people, if you watch C-SPAN, you can find out everything that's fucking going on with federal government, because as dry and boring as it is, they say everything that they put on Senate.gov and the House of Representatives.
Everything, yeah.
Everything is there. So when you watch the media for this, please don't do that. Watch the source, C-SPAN, things like that, and watch this. And
it's excellent background noise, by the way, because I'm ADHD to the point that, and people are like, "What do you mean you don't like music?" I mean, music is great, but I much prefer information. So if I'm working, I'm listening to MSNBC or CNN or Supreme Court oral argument, also available online.
Well, that's new now, is where they're actually videoing their proceedings in the Supreme Court. That's where I was leading up to, is the fact that all these local things are probably the most important thing to pay attention to, because it always starts here before it goes anywhere else.
I mean, national politics really only serves to piss you off, and that is part of the reason why I decided to say something locally. Is I'm tired of being mad about everything that's happening.
Well, a national platform is only when all of the local ones have done what they've been planning to do, and then it's on the national spotlight. Well, that's usually when people find out what these states are fucking doing.
It's one way to look at it, but also another way to look at it that I have found.
I think it's more important to vote for your fucking mayor than it is the president of the United States.
Well, and only because your mayor is potentially going to become the president of the United States. So if we elect better leaders on the local and state level, then effectively we affect change at the higher levels of power. Like, you don't just wake up one day and be like, "Yeah, I'm president." I mean, unless of course
like the last fucking clown that we had.
So now you know this is prime time. This was 2018, so this is middle of his first and only term. And so
be careful. Don't kick too many of these hornet nests around here, because they still wave them fucking flags.
Uh-oh, I guess you're going to arrest me, all of Youngsville. Oh, my God. Did you see how...
Wait a minute. So, what I'm going to say about Youngsville...
I mean, he's got a faceless Grindr profile.
That's like all them damn motherfuckers.
That's what I'm saying is, I'm so sorry about your internalized homophobia, but mine ain't internalized no more, and don't vote against me.
Don't be mad because you don't know how to find the doorknob to get out the closet. Shit, kick
seriously,
the bitch down.
Y'all ain't redecorated that motherfucker enough? I mean, I picked my outfit and I'm like, I'm coming out. So also, So back to stand up. I want you to use that song. Was that Jimi Hendrix?
Storytime. Go back.
Yeah, we don't want you to have to edit a ton.
No. I you know what? When I edit these, it's not a whole lot. It's basically the dead time when I have to go take a piss or go take care of the dogs or something like that. Most times, everybody is fine with all the content that they've shared.
I don't know anything about Ken Ritter personally. I know him from way back when he was just the manager of a hotel on Collie Saloon.
I don't know anything about him either.
Anyway. He'd probably do a better job than Josh Guillory. I mean, mind you, I don't understand. Like, people are so anti-tax, but they want to live in Youngsville and pay all those taxes for those fucking roundabouts.
You know what I didn't understand about the Youngsville, Broussard area is why they didn't let that water park go there. There was a water park that would have basically blew Youngsville up.
Was it Schlitterbahn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would have blew it up. We need something like that.
Seriously, please. And staff it with homosexuals, because we make money and we love
fucking Youngsville was like, no, you need to build all the access and all this. They kept tacking on more shit and more shit that they wanted Schlitterbahn to pay for. So I was like, first of all, I'm paying for the exit to get there and the entrance to get back on your interstate, which is not even really an interstate right now, because you can't get your shit together with all these red lights on the Evangeline Thruway. So, I mean, they were paying for that. But then they wanted them to be so far back off the road that they had to reconstruct all of the frontage roads and all this other stuff. They had to pay for that. And Schlitterbahn said, we don't fucking need Louisiana either.
I don't really understand why. And again, why conservatives here are willing to pay astronomical taxes to live in a place like Youngsville. But then in the same turn, they don't want people like me being able to show that Lafayette and Lafayette Parish are diverse, as though the gays don't have sorts of money to bring into town.
Yeah,
really?
What's the first thing that they actually advertise on them billboards and in them fucking magazines is a diverse, growing culture.
Yeah.
The
and
fuck
so
out of here.
You know what? I've said it multiple times, and really everything that I've said tonight, with the exception of sort of little quips here and there, all of these things are things that I've said at city council. So I've stood in Josh Guillory's face and said, no, we're really good for the economy. If you want giant companies to come here, the first thing they're going to do, if they're large enough, is they're going, well, not the first thing, but one of the things they will do in terms of vetting a new city to move into is find out how the city feels about their queer people, because they employ queer people, and most of them have these committees that are devoted to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so they're going to Google LGBTQ Lafayette, Louisiana, and you know whose name's going to pop up? Mine. And theirs. And they're going to be like,
you did that to yourself.
Well, no, that's
activist life.
They required it. No, and I'm not saying I don't want my name to pop up, but the mindset is what pops up, and so they're not going to move here. And so we're losing out on tax money because you don't like me and my people, and that's not cool.
When you don't directly affect their lives, and that's just something I've always felt, is if you don't directly affect my livelihood, go for it, have fun. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody should be that way. It's tend to your own fucking yard before you tell somebody else how they need to fucking edge their sidewalks.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure who the Supreme Court justice was, but one of the things that I sort of learn and I share with people is there was some statement that he made. I don't remember what opinion it was, but it was effectively that your rights to swing your arms extend right up until the point that it hits my nose. Mm-hmm. So stay in your own lane, govern the city, do what's right. I mean, fine. So you don't like drag queens reading to children. Don't bring your children. And one of the things that I told them was that it's, they're like, I don't want my kids to see that at the library. Well, here's the thing. It's done in a private room. It's not as though we're doing it at the reception.
Yeah, we're not at the entrance.
Yeah, we're not out there like Michael Lunsford in the kids' books section seeing what 10-year-olds are checking out. Michael Lunsford, for those that don't know, is a paid political operative that doesn't even go here. He's from St. Martin Parish, and he's paid for by all sorts of donors in town, and he effectively just fucks everything up that is nice with this city.
What's his MO? Or what's the MO of those that back him?
Fiscal conservatism.
What is that?
It's BS. It's just
because I don't think any of those things even apply to modern day anymore. I think it's more about
just about maintaining power is all that it is.
Power for what? Power for what? What is he trying to maintain power for? What is he doing?
White supremacy, Christian supremacy, heterosexual supremacy. It's literally just making sure that little man doesn't get a seat at the table.
There's always a saying, and I said this since the last election, that the dying animals are the loudest. Mm-hmm. Time is changing. There's a generation that's dying off.
Oh yes,
it's my mom's generation.
I mean, R.I.P. But the mindset got to go.
And they're the loudest right now, and their little underlings, their pupils are being loud with them because they're becoming the minority now because life is changing.
So my heterosexual life partner, her name is Amy Boyd Robinson.
What is that?
I love you.
Wait, what is that?
Well, when I got divorced, I was like, I'm not so sure that I'm ever going to marry a man again. So you are going to be my heterosexual life partner.
I have never heard of that before.
Yeah, well, I used to call
get tax benefits?
No, it's just a thing. I just call her my HLP.
You have to go to the courthouse for that?
No, you just have to pick one.
Oh, no, I don't like females that much. So.
Okay, it could be a male, like as long as they're heterosexual.
No.
I'm her homosexual life partner.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just making sure it wasn't a legal thing.
No, it's fine. So she was my activist wife for a while, and I felt like that wasn't important enough. So, like, she's my spirit animal and my activist wife and my heterosexual life partner. So you ain't got to be gay to be my life partner. Like, we just do life together. We share her husband in non-sexual ways. Because she was also the person who sued the city and the library for Dragqueen Storytime. She was a co-plaintiff. A plaintiff intervener with the ACLU of Louisiana.
Did she help put that together, or was it just a supporter?
She was one of the organizers of the Dragqueen Storytime. So once the people showed their ass at City Hall and the library decided to pull the programming, some supporter groups decided, well, we're going to do it, and we'll just use a public room. So it's not official library programming. We'll just use a public room, and we'll still do it. Mm-hmm. And that was even worse. There was some drama about it being at SLCC, and people were calling in threats and saying that, they were going to need increased police security. So SLCC's like, we're not going to do it. So we did it at the public library. let's flash back to Michael Lunsford. He arranged, pretty well known, he arranged for a hate group named Warriors for Christ. More like an internet church, if we're being honest. They're grifters, and they prey on the fear of their followers, their parishioners.
Just fear, period. They're just fear-mongers.
Yeah, just fear. And they're just hateful people, and they weaponize God, and it's really unfortunate because... I'm not even going to get into those folks. I'm not going to pay them any sort of respect there. I will just say that with the help of a network that we built, we got them classified as a hate group through the Southern Poverty Law Center. Mm-hmm. So, fuck you, Rich Penkoski. And keep my name out of your mouth. Oh, he goes off about me on his YouTube channel still. Anyway, so...
Boy, he's going to hate. You're going to probably have like 20,000 viewers on this.
I can't wait to send it directly to him. Good so,
Lord have mercy.
So Michael Lunsford.
I don't know you, and I don't really care either.
So, you wouldn't want to know him. Oh, but I bet he'd like you, though.
No, I don't. But look, people, I've got this asshole shield around me that keeps people like that away from me. They stay away from me.
He'd be into your setup.
So, what?
What? I'm just saying. You'd be a little eye candy for him. That's the tea about that one, too.
Fuck off.
It's the tea about all of them. Anyway.
That's all. They all have got something going on that's just...
I understand, yeah.
And that hypocrisy right there.
Y'all had a little sword fight. Y'all had a little sword fight in the tent at Boy Scouts one time, Rich, and now all of a sudden you want to hate on me?
Thinking about it still to this day.
We crossing swords.
You're like, wait a minute, my sword was never harder than was before when I did that with old Jimmy. And
we're playing baby ninjas. I mean, it's fine. It feels good, bro. Go with it. Anyway, so this hate group comes down from West Virginia in their brightly colored clothes. You know, these black long sleeve shirts that are like, repent, John 3:16, for God's sake. You know, all this stuff. And
beat yourself at home.
Jesus
with
Christ.
The fucking things that I saw on TV, them canes.
These are the people that have the big signs for Mardi Gras, like sluts and alcoholics and all that. Just fine, go away. So they
they need to do is turn to the left and they'll see all their kids there.
Eat fruitful and multiply. They're raising a litter of haters.
Yeah, we're back. We had to let Matt smoke there, but we blame him. We don't blame me. It wasn't the dogs this time. We were on. I still need to know how Dragqueen Storytime ended because is that even still happening?
It's all the same thing. So so on the hate group comes down, they find a plaintiff, it gets stalled in federal court, the ACLU represents Amy and I, and we win, and we have 2 story times. So yes, still a thing, we just haven't had one in a while.
Why? What? You won, so it's time to do it.
So Dragqueen Storytime was not the cause. Dragqueen Storytime was just an action, an event. On the heels of the sort of backlash at City Hall with the 85 people coming out and telling these young queer kids that they should go kill themselves, and City Hall's audience, you should go kill yourself.
What happened? A life is a life, though.
People are forced birth. They're pro forced birth. Once the kids come out, especially if they're little brown kids, they don't really care about them.
Well, we've been knowing this shit forever,
right? So
especially us brown folk.
Exactly. Thank you.
Oh my God.
And so I'm 57 shades of Caucasian, very very European, but I stand with folks of color. So we decided, a group of us got together and said that there had to be something. If the government was not going to support us, if they're going to make actions to have this resolution to say, we don't want the LGBTQ community to feel welcome in the library, we need to have an organization that people can turn to and get what they need. Mm-hmm. And so me and 4 or 5 other people got together and we formed a chapter of PFLAG. For those that don't know.
Has that always been around?
PFLAG is a national organization that was started right after Stonewall. So I don't want to get too much into the history of Pride and whatnot, but effectively Stonewall was a riot, and on the anniversary,
started a movement.
Yeah, and on the anniversary of the riot, they had a parade, a march, effectively, and it is what has evolved into what is Pride today. So it was a march to remember the riot when people finally spoke up. So PFLAG was actually inspired.
And a riot from actual infringement of freedom.
Correct. Yeah, the police ambushed this bar because the mafia wasn't paying them off the way they wanted to be paid off, and the police just arrested people for being gay. It was actually pretty sick what they would do back then. Police would actually dress up as decoys and go hang out in parks and try to lure gay men in to do things, and then when they would make a pass, they would be arrested simply for being gay. And so the Stonewall Inn was a place for people in our community.
They still do that overseas, though, in some countries where it's illegal to be gay. They'll get on the apps that are created, they'll meet them, and then all of a sudden they'll either kill them or they'll arrest them.
Yeah, there are countries across the world where, I mean, you can't even access erotic material that is same-sex oriented. So, this was the Stonewall Inn was a safe place for people in the community to get together and feel somewhat safe. They could share a drink, they could share a conversation, they could be themselves, they could dance with somebody if they wanted to.
Not doing harm to anybody.
I'm sure that there was hooking up and whatnot because it was a dark, dank place and the mafia owned it. So I mean, it's not like it was a real stand-up kind of place, but the mafia paid off the cops to leave them alone, and because of a conflict between the mafia and the cops raided and gay men got arrested. Now, Stonewall is just the most historic. Yeah. This has happened before. I mean, I don't remember the name of it, and that's on me, but there was actually another incident where a place was actually set on fire and people died in the upstairs of it because of...
Well, a lot of horrible things have just been done to, minority groups of all types. Because think of Black Wall Street; they burned that down because they didn't want to see black people succeed and have a place at the table.
Tulsa,
as what you're saying,
and Rosewood, and if anybody has ever watched the HBO special or the HBO show Watchmen, it was actually the first time I actually learned about the Tulsa massacre. Effectively, historically, once slavery was sort of ended, it just sort of transferred into other ways to suppress minorities, and that any time. People of color get any sort of advantage, any sort of amassing any sort of property or wealth, the systemic racism does exist. The systems
but we all know where that system comes from, though. It all was born off of slavery. I mean, the whole system of the way cops are, what they were slave catchers.
Yeah, we have a pipeline from school to prison now. I mean, and it's the whole mass incarceration, and
we're not
going to get into too much of that today.
Well, we're not a full educational podcast here. We're just trying to talk and get to know people and just share what the fuck they do, and then I just interject with all of my nonsense.
It's okay.
But
it's fine.
So I mean, so that's gone now. Y'all don't do it anymore.
No, I mean, we do Dragqueen Storytime. There's people calling for it. We're probably going to have one for Pride. Pride is going to be June 11th here.
But where is it going to be?
Big festival downtown.
But why downtown? Why not go back to the library? You won. You can go back to the library.
Well, yeah, we're going to have a Dragqueen Storytime. It's just an event. Dragqueen Storytime is just an event. But Pride, we're going to have an actual festival here. We'll have an actual parade. We're working on sponsors now. Hit me up.
Did they have one last year?
They did. It was a very...
Was that the first
smallish thing? It was not the first one. It's actually been done a couple of times before. It just sort of kind of always fell by the wayside. For whatever reason, there's been a couple of different boards they've dissolved or they had disputes. I don't get into that. I helped with the last one. It was not an actual... There's not a board. There will be a board now. It's actually going to be called Acadiana Queer Collective, and one of the events they will put on is Pride. And so we're going to have a parade. We're going to have vendors.
Just please make sure everybody keeps their fucking clothes on. I think that's what's wrong with gay people.
We are talking
they can't
about
keep their fucking clothes on. It's like, geez.
Yeah. It will be very.
That's why people
family-friendly.
don't like the events, is because of the debauchery that finds out. Go to fucking New Orleans if you want to take your clothes off.
Correct. Yeah, and that's actually part like that. I don't want to get too much into my upbringing and why I felt the need to speak out at City Hall, because we could talk about my childhood for a whole other episode. But yeah, when those types of behaviors, people in leather and feather boas and speedos and whatnot, be doing things.
I just find it very hard. I just find it very hard to put that upon people when you haven't even won the battle of just being an equal to everybody else. Don't throw that out there as well, because this is a very prudish nation to begin with, even though everybody's up to their shenanigans.
I agree in part from a messaging standpoint. Yeah, we should probably be a little bit more palatable in public. But also, I have no space to tell someone how they can and cannot dress, because freedom of speech.
Yes.
But also understand that you're speaking for a larger community.
But when you're trying to get just equal rights across the board, and I know you're out there in a public space just trying to drum up the support for the equality, which still keeps happening, that's lacking for the gay community. Well, for actually all of the gay, lesbian, transgender, all of those communities are wanting equality. I think you don't do it by just walking around in a fucking Speedo, because, I mean...
Well, that sort of behavior is weaponized by people of that mindset. So they like that sort of activity, guys tied up to some, crossbar and a jock strap and a harness or something at some pride parade in San Francisco. Those clips are going to be used on shows like the 700 Club, like my grandma used to watch. And things like, do you know what those people do to each other, Matthew? Are things that I would hear as a child. And so when you feel like you are attracted to the same sex, but also this is the option that exists out there, well, I don't want that. And then when you get on your first sort of gay website, because you're still not sure why you feel this way, even though, you cry your eyes out on the altar 5-6 days a week, found the Christian club at your high school, like pray the gay away, you still feel that way. And you get on a gay website and you start chatting to try to get to know somebody, and you find out that all they want to do is hook up. It is it sort of hammers home the fact that, okay, well, maybe that's all this is about.
Yep.
And so it took me along, and that is part of my story is, because of that, being raised that, realizing that I felt this way and being told that it was wrong, and then having experience in the community that was very predatory, very sex driven, very alcohol and drug driven. It led me to feel like I needed to live and love in secret and in fear. And so I didn't want people to know these things. I'm drinking at this place by myself, trying to get to know somebody and trying to not have it be about sex, because it wasn't what I was into. And I had faith at the time. And it actually led to me being raped the day after my 20th birthday. Some man drugged me, and thankfully I don't remember a whole lot about it. I remember the song that he played in the car on the way there and on the way back. Why would you say
thankfully you don't remember anything?
I don't want to remember it. The only thing I remember was waking up and
seeing flashes. The only way that you can
flashes.
Conquer something is to know it and own it.
I know it happened, but I don't want to remember the entire process. I remember the ride there. I remember the ride back, and there was a song playing. I remember that song. And then I remember waking up briefly and seeing flash photography. So somewhere out there are pictures of me. What I remember about the guy, I actually decided recently that I'm going to try to press charges.
Is that local? Does that happen locally here? Where are you originally from, man?
I'm originally from Arizona. Phoenix, yeah.
Phoenix, okay.
Yeah, so,
What brought you out here?
My dad's infidelity.
Oh, you got stuck with mom or stuck with dad?
No.
Or you just left the whole...
My dad slept with my mom's best friend, and we had to leave in the middle of the night.
Who's we?
My family. Me and my 3 siblings.
With mom and dad?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It was a traumatic childhood. Yeah,
Anyway, where are your siblings now?
They live here. I actually had a 4th one. My parents stayed together for whatever reason.
Everything that's going on.
They are very supportive of me, but not in a sort of active way. So they love me, but they're not activists, and that's perfectly fine. They support what I do. They are worried about me.
Well, yeah, because
I will say that my grandma is very worried about me. She's praying constantly that nobody hurts me.
When you're entangled with dirty people that are just looking for you to disappear, one can do nothing but worry. Because you don't know what money can do these days, because as things decline with people's ability to just be themselves.
Yeah, there was apparently some sort of drive-by shooting a block over from my house the other day, and I kind of had like this moment.
You think they had the wrong house?
When I was just
shit!
And
they were too stupid to go to the right address.
Well, I will say, I'm not so like I'm not egotistical. I'm not doing this for clout or anything. And some people like to, the armchair critics like to have their.
That's what I want to know too. Is just to say, I'm going to ask that. I'm going to say it now. So it's like do you define yourself as like a full-time activist? Because it's like it's taken up your life.
Yes.
You're doing it all the time now.
Yeah, so...
You're trying to raise money for it too, right?
Whether I want to or not, and for good or for bad, I am an activist. And I did not realize the depth and breadth of that commitment when I took it on that night in September of 2018. But I'll be goddamned if I'm going to back down based on how they responded.
So what level of activism are you considered to be? Because I've run into a few activists, and you got the diehard ones that believe everybody should be doing what they're doing because that's the only way change is going to happen. It's just got some part truth to it. Not everybody is eloquent enough to actually be an activist and actually follow the laws and make sure that, they're not, not saying incriminating themselves, but just getting themselves into, a bad spot while trying to put the spotlight on an issue that needs to be resolved. And then there's the activists that are looking for fame. They just want their name out there. They want to grab a bag and they want to run. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the activists that are just trying to make something happen, just want the community to be better. They don't want the spotlight. They're just going to keep doing these things behind behind the scenes. I'm not an activist at all. I just like doing good things here and there when I'm not busy.
I would disagree. You are an activist.
But how? How? Because I don't.
You're doing a podcast raising awareness of issues. You're taking care of huskies. I mean, everybody's an activist. We all care about stuff. We all are passionate about something to the extent that we will actually step outside of our homes and do it.
Okay, so
unless you're a hermit and you just go grocery shopping, but then you probably are potentially vegan or gluten. Everybody is active with something.
Yes, but when you think of your activist, you're thinking of the person that's got their sign out, the traditional I'm picketing and protesting
Correct.
type of
yeah,
activist.
I'm that guy. Yeah, for sure.
So
I'm a boots on the ground, back up what I say kind of guy. And I love the Constitution. I love the First Amendment. My heroes are Martin Luther King Jr., Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Erin Brockovich.
Oh! That brings this one, because this was another bullet point of mine. Is that your real last name?
It is not.
God damn. Because, boy, I sat there and I said, where's that from? And then I was watching a Jim Jeffries podcast, and he had Erin Brockovich on. I was like,
if you've not seen the movie,
and then
it's my second favorite movie.
Then I saw his last name, and I was like, is this real?
I'm actually going to email her domain and try to get my story in front of her and see if she won't let me at least have an email address, like Matty@brockovich.com. I'm not kidding. I love her. So
the
her
Brockovich connection.
For those that haven't seen the movie,
Brockovich network. That you could actually start an organization that just basically feeds and funds activism throughout the world using the Brockovich name. I didn't know anything about her, to be honest with you. No, I haven't seen any movies or anything like that.
Okay, you've never seen Erin Brockovich?
No, I don't watch a lot of things.
Do you want to have like a date night where we watch Erin Brockovich?
No, the only time I watch TV is during the 2 hours I'm trying to fall asleep at nighttime after I'm done.
We don't have to call it a date. I understand you're skittish. Do you want to watch a movie sometime?
What?
We should watch a movie. Erin Brockovich is a fascinating movie. You have to understand.
Okay, did he not understand when I said I don't even have time to be watching anything?
It's a problem. It's a problem.
What's a problem? What's a problem?
It's a problem that you don't make time for any sort of entertainment.
This
is all work. It's
got
all hustle.
Success.
It's all hustle.
Comes first. And guess what?
It's fine.
I had fun for many years.
How many ends does your candle have to burn from? It's not burning at both ends. It's burning from 47 ends.
It's a circle, and it's on fire.
It's just a ring of fire.
It's a circle on fire.
And you're constantly trying to send your skinny ass through it.
No, I'm not trying to go through it. I'm just trying to let that bitch burn out, and hopefully there's something in the center.
Hopefully you get something done by the time it burns out.
Like a Tootsie Roll
so many different
lollipop. Things. They always said there was this reward in the center, and it just was the worst thing ever. It was the worst thing ever. It was horrible.
So gross.
But no. I
love
had
that.
to ask
From Erin Brockovich to Tootsie Rolls. I'm here for it.
I didn't know that was not your last name. You don't have to disclose your last name because, I mean...
Fun fact on Tootsie Rolls. I actually took third place in a Tootsie Roll competition in junior high. Not junior high, junior prom.
What, the song Tootsie Roll? Oh, God, that is so old. Hey, I found out that Unc was, y'all don't know who that is, but he be on his Instagram, post the same thing every day, Unc Shine, if you look him up. And I found that out from one of the podcasts that I watch. He is living in Lafayette. He lives in Lafayette. He's somewhere around the Simcoe area. And the reason, and so if you go look up Unc Shine on Instagram.
Sorry, I don't have time for that. So because I'm always doing this and like I don't, in the 2 hours that I have and 37 minutes a day that I have to do, I'm not gonna go.
So Unc Shine be on Instagram.
I hope you guys have time to watch this podcast.
He's like
as busy as him.
He's like, I'm gonna be busy trying to edit this motherfucker too. No, I'm just kidding. So he be on there.
I'm gonna really dig in you. Ay ay ay. Y'all heard that one before. I'ma dig in you. Yeah. Just like some crawfish.
He's doing all kind of crazy shit just talking about what he's doing to women. That's all it is. And it's 30 posts per day. And it's like he doesn't understand what he's doing. It's just a picture of his face and how I like the drawers you got on. And he's
Okay, but I may make time for this.
But what was the name of that? Grown Folks was was on the north side.
Grown Folks Talking.
He named the club that he was trying to get this girl to go to, and I was like, wait, what? And this was a comedian that had him on his podcast in Los Angeles talking about this guy. He goes, I don't know where this guy is, and then he was like, off Simcoe. I was like, wait a minute, that club. It's not.
Is it Miami Moon?
Miami Moon.
Uh-huh.
Because that's what he said.
I've been there. I've done surveillance at Miami Moon.
He
a white man at Miami Moon following around
This motherfucker. But I was going to make a comment on the Reddit and say, yeah, he lives in my town, but I wasn't about to bring all that smoke. So.
Okay, so circling it back to my heroes. Martin Luther King, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Aaron Brockovich. It's a great movie. Mm-hmm. It's about...
What's it about?
It's about a woman who gets into a car accident with her son, and the guy is a flashy doctor that hits her, and then her attorney takes her on and tells her that it's pretty much an open and shut case. But she's spicy, like me.
Is that all for her real life?
She's on the stand. Yeah, it's her true story. And so she's on the stand. She pops off. She's sassy. Mm-hmm. She ends up losing her case because of that.
She's fiery, yeah.
Correct. And the attorney had pretty much told her, like, this is going to be easy, whatever. And because she lost the case and she needed money, she just shows up at his law firm one day and starts working. And he's like, what the hell are you doing here? And she's like, you told me you were going to get me money, so pay me. And it just speaks to me because I have, despite all the challenges of my upbringing and these people working against me and really everything that's ever happened in my life, I persevere. One of my favorite phrases is, and yet I live. So all of these things that have tried to, in one way or another, bring me down, I have surpassed them and exceeded. And so I don't want to give away too much of the story, but effectively she gets given some bullshit work. Mm-hmm. She's given a box of stuff and it's just like, here, do this, stay busy, because he felt bad. She ends up discovering some things that lead to just, I mean, I'm pretty sure I don't know if it's still record breaking, but it ended up in
illegal
record breaking. Yes. Really shady shit with a company that it was record breaking settlements for these lawsuits. And so that's kind of who I am. Like she is effectively a private investigator, mm-hmm. and she goes out, she does the work. She's an activist. And so that was another thing I wanted to say earlier. So because of my attention to detail, because of the chaos mentality and the ADHD and me being an activist, it really makes me very good at getting to the bottom of things, mm-hmm. And being willing to fix them. So I've never been one to just identify a problem. It looks like, that's not right. That's not right. No, I will figure out how it's supposed to work. I will find out how it works, and then I will help you work to get it to work the way that it's supposed to. And that's effectively the kind of activist that I am. So I noticed that there's a really big problem with the way that they treat the LGBTQ community here, all minority communities here. Mm-hmm. And I realize how it's supposed to work. I realize how it's working, and now I'm working on ways to have it work appropriately.
So unfortunately, that ended up.
I don't necessarily have a plan. I just do the next right thing every time. So at the moment of choice, I have integrity, and
you're not just out there bitching about something. You're actually thinking of, okay, this is a solution for it. Think of Elon Musk. When he sees a problem, he just finds a solution for mm-hmm. it and just gets it done.
Yeah, it's not enough for me to hold a sign. And that's not to say that if someone's form of activism is just holding a sign, go for it. Go for it.
That's
whatever
stagnant.
Works.
That doesn't do anything.
Well,
you've got to have something to back it up.
It takes balls, and I feel like I don't want to invalidate anybody's sort of flavor of activism. And what I was saying earlier is I'm not an armchair critic, and so I would never say, and I'm not saying you are either, but I would never say that.
I don't care if I'm an armchair critic. I like sitting in my fucking chair, but I'm not an activist.
Well, again, so. I would just frame it in terms of the way that I frame it, because people don't like my specific flavor of activism. Why can't you call me a drama queen and clout chaser and keyboard warrior? You know what? I'm making a difference. And my question to those people is,
does a person need to do that though to put something in the spotlight?
No. I mean, I wouldn't protest that racist judge outside of city court with just a sign, and it literally was just a sign saying, your judge might be racist, and I sat within the view of the people mm-hmm. going into court that day. That's it. It's just a message. It's
How
just
did that become a national topic?
I couldn't tell you the channels that it got leaked through, but yeah, I mean, it's a racist judge. It's a big deal.
No, I think it's a big deal, but I'm just wondering how that left the city. How did that leave her living room? Is what I would like to know.
Yeah, Snapchat. Snapchat. It was sent to several. I mean, whatever. I knew about it within a couple of hours, but it was effectively Snapchat, and someone sent it to a couple of friends, and I would imagine somebody's parent, relative, friend knew about it and screen recorded it or whatever they did with it, and then it got to the media.
And that goes to show how stupid you have to be. Just stupid. Just plain out. First of all, you're stupid for even having those thoughts and mentality mm-hmm. as a judge.
Yeah.
That's making decisions. Now, to do that, drunk and whatever, and then being
she
recorded.
Said she was on pills. But then she said it was her son. He's on pills. He's got drug. Here's the thing. You know who helped her get elected? You know who she was feeding stories to from the court? Michael Lunsford.
Oh, Lord. The corruption continues.
And now he's got somebody on the Bayou Vermilion District Board. He's got his hands in all sorts of things.
Why are all the wrong people with money? Like, what happens?
Yeah. I mean, surely there are right people with money, and I question what they're doing with it. I have a GoFundMe. Like, let me do the work for you.
Look, I promise you, I have a fucking nonprofit, and people don't put money into it.
I get it.
So
I know.
They don't care.
Well, what money that we have raised for PFLAG, we've done a lot of work for it, and it's not. I'm not complaining. I appreciate the donations. I appreciate the work. You know what brought out the money was pride. Mm-hmm. People want to see things happening. They don't want to say, "Oh, I really like your cause. Let me write you a check." They want to have an event to go to. They want something to take with them.
But
they
you can't have an event if somebody's not supporting it.
Donations are a form of activism. So if you're, I mean, you're running a nonprofit. You're an activist. I don't know what side of the bed you woke up on, or you're 2 hours of sleep. But you're an activist. Like, you're doing good work in the way that it works for you.
But I'm not out in people's face.
No, you don't have to be.
Like,
but also,
I'm just making things happen. Is what I'm doing.
But okay. So people for the ethical treatment of animals. Those are the kind of activists that you consider activists, but just doing work for something that is bigger than yourself is activism, is all it is. So I'm just the guy who thinks that everybody should have access to the library. I happen to be a member of the LGBTQ community, and what I say is I have a big back and I'm willing to wear all the targets. So death stares in the grocery store, fine. I don't care. I know people recognize me. And since the arrest, people have come up to me and said, "Hey, this is gonna be weird." I'm like, "Yes, I'm."
So you're saying arrest? I don't think a majority of this audience isn't in Louisiana. They're outside of Louisiana. So actually, there's people in Saudi Arabia that watch this. So
so we are not as terrible as our local government might lead you to believe.
What arrest are you talking about? I know about it because I saw it on my Google News feed the next day. Let everybody know how another incident. I mean, you had Drag Storytime, and you're having to fight for that, and then now I'm guessing you have something new that you have to fight over. What happened? What transpired?
So, two things, and it's been an ongoing saga where Michael Lunsford is attempting to have books banned at the public library. So there is an organization,
what Tennessee's doing and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's everywhere. So. And I don't have all of these facts in stone. These are things that I haven't had the time to do a deep dive to make sure that I have all the facts in order. But there's an organization called Mass Resistance.
I bet you if they ban the Bible, all this shit would go away.
Oh, yeah. You start dropping verses about how she was engorged or happy or excited about.
I just really think if you got rid of that, all these people would stop all this shitty behavior.
Excited about the men whose genitals were like those of donkeys. There's a verse about that, and then there's also
that's another problem I have. You see, you saying that, and when everybody loves Greek mythology, but all them fuckers were fucking each other and having the orgies and all that other stuff. So why are all these religious people so hateful of gay people, but they love Greek mythology and all this other shit?
I have no idea. But there is also another story, and I don't remember. I believe it was Lot's daughters who got him drunk in order to have intercourse with him so that they could conceive. If I'm not mistaken, that was the story. Now, mind you, it's been a long time since I was the Bible champion. Thank you.
Mind you, this is all
the Bible trivia champion when I was in, 9, 10 years old, something like that. Yeah. So anyway, there's an organization called Mass Resistance. Mass Resistance is effectively sort of a hate conglomerate. They associate with folks like Warriors for Christ, and so they are activists.
Some more oath keepers out there.
Bigotry, yeah, but they go after Dragqueen Storytime, and now their thing is banning books. So of course Michael Lunsford got.
They got some. They don't have jobs.
That is their job. They make money. They prey on the fear of people for donations.
Who's funding these people?
Scared Christians? I don't know.
Is there
my grandma still writes checks to the 700 Club. She's writing checks to this, writing checks to that. And I'm just like, I don't think your money's being used for what you think it is. But
is there a registry of charitable things that you can look up to see who donates to what?
I would imagine that,
because if you file on your taxes, you could find out that way.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that Mass Resistance is a nonprofit. I don't care enough about them to try to look them up. I hear about what they're doing because it's important to me to sort of know what they're doing to. Well,
you have to know.
So we knew the book banning was coming. It's the same thing with this law in Florida where it's a "don't say gay" law. I don't know if
what the hell is that.
So there's a law.
Don't say gay? Is that like don't ask, don't tell?
Yes, effectively for kids in school. So it just passed through the. Congress.
So what do you say? I like boys instead? Or if you're a girl, I like girls.
You don't talk about sexuality at all in school. Hold on. It's called the Don't Say Gay Bill. I don't know exactly what it's called, but that's what it's being coined as. And the governor has already shown approval that he would pass it. So effectively, kids are not allowed to talk about sexuality in school. And if it comes to be knowledge that if it comes to be known by a teacher, someone who has a duty to report. So for instance, if a kid shows up with bruises or fractured arm or something, they have to report it to the officials. If they are in a position with a duty to report about children, they have to report about the child's sexuality. You're effectively legislating outing children. And so what happens when so-and-so runs to tell the teacher that so-and-so is gay because they don't like them? Kids are going to die. More kids are effectively going to die because of the work of people like Michael Lunsford and Warriors for Christ and Mass Resistance, because they're banning these books. That's like
a new fucking way to make them commit suicide now.
It really is.
And they're like, oh, I didn't do it. Your kid just committed suicide on their own.
Mm-hmm. Oh. It's like sexuality
because
aside.
Your law made it happen.
Gender aside. Yeah, that's effectively what it is. So Michael Lunsford takes to the library board.
This all comes from beliefs. You see, and that's why I don't like beliefs. Mm-hmm. Beliefs leak into some shit that has no business, into governing law. Beliefs need to stay in the confines of your four fucking walls under your roof.
I don't care about the God you serve. When you're on the dais and you're legislating, your beliefs can't come into it. The law should be coming into it, and the betterment of your community. We talk about separation of state, church and state, but honestly, these people are voting with their Christian morals, and not everybody is a Christian. And the First Amendment, it talks about freedom of religion, but we also need to consider there is freedom from religion.
The main middle hydra's head off, which is separating religion and government, and then you can put out all the little fires of all this other bullshit that's going on.
Well, they just need to tax the churches, because effectively the churches already have a say in government. They should be paying.
Yeah, now they can lobby. So it's like, wait a minute, if you can lobby,
they already do.
Well, they legally can lobby.
They've
now.
got it
that
already.
Was the law that was
they
passed.
implanted into these leaders' minds from an early age. I mean, we're putting water on them when they're babies.
But what I'm saying is,
it's
actually now it's on paper. It's a law where religious organizations can lobby the congressmen and senators and stuff like that, even though they might have been doing it ever since the Roman days.
So
or whatever.
These people are all a part of the church. I mean, these religious leaders are making money. I mean, these guys are flying around and they're approaching billionaire status, a lot of these, and they're flying around on jets and stuff.
I don't understand these willfully ignorant people that follow this shit and don't realize that they're not doing any good. All they're doing is just building wealth off of people's willful ignorance.
I feel like Christians don't realize how much unlike their Christ they are. A lot of them. They think they're doing well, but they don't really take a moment to ponder, like, what would Jesus do? Jesus would be hanging out with me.
Maybe that's why they stopped using those stickers on the cars then, because you used to see those, what would Jesus do? But then people were like, he wouldn't do this. Oh, shit. Let me take that off
of there. He wouldn't. He hung out with prostitutes and, accountants.
Well, some of them still do.
Just kidding. We love our accountant friends.
That's why they got all them little backdoor things going on still. They just...
So, we've got these giant, well-funded members of churches, our Savior's Church's empire here. And let's not. I'm not getting into too much of that.
What is that?
Our Savior's Church has an empire here. Jacob Aranza has churches all over. He's got it's an empire. He's got campuses in all the major cities. He's got 11 or 12 locations or something. Constantly building. And his KADN. One of our local stations here is a Fox station, would not air a story that I gave them about our Savior's Church participating in conversion therapy. They killed it at the top, and so I don't give them any more stories.
It's going to shake their...
But it's happened, and so you've got these people with lots and lots of money who are able to give to the people that they want to. And in my opinion, if we tax the church... The church itself pays into the government, and that is open wide funds for people to use, for everyone to use, not a particular political candidate. And so otherwise the church and those beliefs should not come into play at City Hall. It's a gross system, and it results in things like this with sort of rights being infringed. So Mass Resistance posts this list of hundreds of books that need to be banned from the library. And people like Michael Lunsford, they take their shot at it. Now, the first book that he tried to have banned is called This Book is Gay. and it's rainbow colored. It's actually by a rainbow stripes on the front. It's by a transgender author from the UK, I believe, transgender man, if I'm not mistaken, Juno, something like that. Anyway, so I've not read it, but I know people who did because they're reading all of these books as they come up to be, proposed for banning. And so I'm not going to get into sort of the details of the first meeting, but they have a commission where it's a couple of board members and a couple of librarians, and they decide whether or not the book should be banned. And Michael Lunsford actually appealed their decision, and it was voted down.
What does he do, actually?
He's a political operative.
Well, but what's his title?
Oh, well, he's the executive director of Citizens for a New Louisiana.
So he has no political title.
I believe it's a 501c4, which I can't really tell you what that means. But effectively, it is, in action, it is a political organization. But it's...
Yeah, but he's not under Josh Guillory or anybody.
No,
he doesn't hold a title in a position.
Weekly lunches with Josh Guillory.
Of course,
weekly meetings.
He's swaying him into his whatever.
Well, he's turning the screws because he effectively helped him get elected. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so he doesn't have to...
What did Josh Guillory do before he became mayor? He was a nobody.
He was a criminal defense attorney, and he effectively made the city less safe by continuing to defend people as their crimes escalated in nature, up to and including the use of firearms.
Like how?
I know this because
how are some of these people getting into office?
I know this because I was the private investigator for the PAC that was behind Carly. Mm. Yeah.
What was her margin that she lost by?
She won the city. The parish got Josh elected. So as soon as we deconsolidate, we can get an actual mayor. And he can go off and be president of the parish. I don't care. Like, we just need him not to be the mayor here because Lafayette needs to be a city that people want to come to. Mm-hmm. Lafayette Parish can come and spend their tax dollars here if they want. Yeah. And that's not to say anything poor about people in the parish. Like, I used to live in the parish, but we can't have a parish that elects the city parish leader.
Well, it's the whole fact the interest of the city is not the interest of the parish. Is
100%. I mean, the finances are just messed up, and it just let the parish go and do their own thing.
But I still fear deconsolidating is going to cause some kind of issue. It's going to cause a new tax to pop up all of a sudden.
I'm sure there's lots of concerns about that. I don't necessarily get too much into the whole tax side of things because I'm too busy trying to stay within my lane with the constitutional side of things and represent this community so that they have a seat at the table. I would love to get to the point where I can look into all sorts of things potentially. I don't know so much about running for office, but
how many people? But okay, so you said with PFLAG, there was nobody else that's actually actively doing these things with you.
No, they are. They attend different events. It's just I'm the most visible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
but you're doing interviews, you're talking with people, you're doing all these things. Is there somebody else that can help you carry the burden and actually help you split, conquer, and divide and conquer?
The entire board is involved. This was an individual. I was there as a representative, and a lot of times we do a call. Like there were members of our organization that are members, not board members, that were at the library board meeting.
We got to go back to that because that was the arrest incident. So we deterred when we talked about this Lunsford guy. I think we're giving him too much spotlight.
Well, no, he's the reason why. He was at the library board meeting. He's the reason why I got arrested. Yeah, so he tries to ban this book. He appeals it. They vote it down. So what they decided to do instead of banning that book was to move all of this sort of category into a different section. And so that appeased folks. Well, then he tries again with another book. And so this meeting was about two issues. Well, three issues, but anyway, 3 agenda items, 2 issues. So the first one was the building of the Northeast Regional Library, which for those that don't know is the north side. It's predominantly black neighborhood. It's a predominantly black area.
And it's a declining part of the city that needs to be
underprivileged. It needs economic stimulation. We need to draw people to this area to spend tax dollars to increase funds to that area, yes.
But it's been a controlled effort to keep them on the bottom part of the city.
Yes, yeah, we're definitely trying to keep the brown man down in town, and also the LGBTQ man. Which it's wild because we have a black man who was appointed by Josh Guillory as the chief of minority affairs. Now that's a whole other twisted circle because it's widely accepted that Michael Lunsford had him get into the race. against Carly so that he was the Democrat. He pulled Democrat votes from Carly and effectively helped Josh win. And now he's in a position of power in Josh's sort of cabinet. And he's a chief of minority affairs, but what does he really do? And that was actually what I named my YouTube video today. What the fuck does Carlos Harvin even do? And so it's a good question, because when I call City Hall and I ask him what I can do to get involved with minorities, and I list them out, and I say, what about the LGBTQ community? He tells me to contact PFLAG Lafayette. Tells me to call myself.
And I'd be like, well, I'm on the phone with myself now. We're on a 3-way call all of a sudden.
Well, in fairness, I didn't identify myself as myself. I used my PI skills and used an alias and pretexted.
I don't understand these people.
So we're at this board meeting, okay? And now, mind you, I spent hours in the morning.
No, is this a Lafayette Consolidated meeting?
This is at Lafayette Public Library.
Okay.
This Monday, so 6 days ago.
Who dictates Lafayette Public Library?
Lafayette Consolidated Government. So,
was Guillory there?
No, he does not attend. So the Lafayette the Parish Council, because it's the Parish Library, the Parish Council appoints people to the board by a majority vote, and then the mayor president has one designee on the board, and then
is this through voting, or is they're electing
appointed.
These people? They're appointing these people.
So the Parish Council is elected. Josh Guillory's elected, and then they appoint the library
and he just
board.
Picks his little people.
Okay. There are now three. There are now 3 board members: the board president, the board vice president, and then a third member who are all vocally anti-Dragqueen Storytime. The board president is the guy who spoke ahead of me at the city council meeting where I first spoke out in 2018. So they found the people that were the loudest, and they backed them to get them appointed by the parish library. No, they actually violated open meetings laws. There were discussions via text between Michael Lunsford and people on the parish council to decide who to put on the board. I'm telling you, it's some dark,
so
dirty
why is
shit.
this not? I mean, if there's once again, it's kind of like what happens in the federal spotlight. All this shit just keeps happening out in the open and in front of everybody. So why is it not?
Well, we're suing.
Okay.
I know there has been suits. There have been suits. I don't know to what extent those happened, but I fully intend to sue for every violation of the law that happened that night.
Carry on about that
I'm
night.
suing everyone. I'm suing probably every member of the library board, the attorney, the director, everybody. Michael Lunsford by name, that resulted in my arrest. And you know what? If there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But I want evidence.
Well, what were you arrested for? What happened? I mean, because we were talking and we
So the 2 items on the agenda were building of the Northeast Regional Library, and then censorship, banning books. And so they're trying to slow roll the building of the Northeast Regional Library. So there's $8 million dedicated to build this library. They formed a committee. It's called the Northeast Regional Library Exploratory Committee.
I bet you they're trying to take money from that fund.
Eventually they will. They're trying to slow roll it to where it dies and people give up on it, or something happens like COVID again, and then they can't use the funds. So then they're just like, all right, well, since they've been sitting there, you haven't been using that money, so we're going to go and use it for something else.
For this.
But that's what they do. And so there's a discussion about, okay, so the committee comes back and says that we should move forward to the process of putting an RFP out and about a land purchase. So we're going to buy land to build a library. But apparently some folks wanted to consider a lease option where we just lease a building that already exists. And the argument ensues. Well, the committee recommended that we go with a land purchase. But one of these board members that was planted decides to say, well, I think we should still consider a lease. Well, he's on the exploratory committee. He knows what the decision was. Of course, he was one of the dissenting votes, and he's also on the board, the library board. So now he gets to just murky up the waters, and now it's open for public discussion, and it's open for shit from input from the other.
Delay tactics.
And the questions that the other board members are asking, because they're not on the exploratory committee, the answers that they're being given are complete and total bullshit. And I am not one to sit there and listen to board members lie to other board members to try to get them votes so that they can lease a building. I'm not going to do it. I know the truth. I go to these meetings. This one knows the truth. She goes to these meetings. There are other members of the exploratory committee in the meetings. We're shouting the truth at these people. Well, me and another person in the audience end up getting clocked. They're like, you guys need to chill out. You're going to be out of here, whatever. The other person that got called out by name is Marge Broussard. She's the former head of the local NAACP. She's present at a lot of these things. She advocates mostly on behalf of the black community, but she also is very supportive of mine. That's what we call intersectionality. You're a man of color, but you're also a member of that community. So, you tick a lot of boxes. And she is not a member of the LGBTQ community, but she understands the importance importance of us having each other's backs. So we get.
I promise you, when you're part of one minority, you know how they all how it's affecting everybody.
And what a privilege it must be to not have ever been discriminated against. Like, you know, when these folks were in school,
but those are the ones that discriminate because
Agreed.
they've never had.
You don't understand
anything.
how it feels to be left out or disliked because of something. I mean, not, you know, and surely they did. Surely they had somebody that has made them feel like shit along their lives, but it hasn't been a recurring thing based on something that was important to them or something that they couldn't change. Like, you can't change the fact that I'm attracted to men for the most part, and they can't change their skin color. You know, a lot of folks shouldn't feel like they need to, you know, hide their religion. You know, so anyway. So we're shouting about this, and me and Margie get told we need to settle down and whatnot, and the officer's standing there, and I'm just like, you know, okay, yeah, sure, whatever.
It's one thing I've never believed in is why do you have all these law enforcement people at a meeting? It's like why are you trying to intimidate people to not show up to the meeting?
It's security is what it is, but also they also wait until the very last minute to post the agenda, and they provide very little information about what's actually going to be discussed, so people can be aware. It's not posted via social media. It's on a sign at the door.
No, well, that's that shady backdoor shit
voter
going
suppression is all it is, and that's just one way that they keep.
I'm telling you, that if the banks have secure ways for us to fucking, you know, transfer money and do money management, there is a secure way to have a voting app. I'm telling you, there really is.
100%. And honestly, it would be just as easy as a fingerprint to unlock your fucking phone.
Yep. I just voted for bloop, done. Instantly recorded along the way, kind of like blockchain, which I'm hoping starts get integrated into something like that.
You could effectively even have sort of like the just spitballing here, but I mean, if you did thumbprints, you could potentially have people going to. Then you'd have people saying that there's a thumbprint database they're trying to collect and whatnot. But you could effectively have them go to a specific sort of geographical.
If you have this, location. They know everything about.
I agree, yeah, and I'm like, okay, so figure out some sort of quadruple verification method where you text something to my phone, you do my retina thing. I mean, you've already got it to unlock your phone. You do my fingerprint, and it has to be done within 100 yards of a certain geographical area, which is your polling place. Done. And then you'll still have this extra step, so it's equal. You know, it's ridiculous. It's all propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, and that's when you know it's not. It's trying to be taken from everybody because the coin is flipping. The minority is becoming the majority. The majority is becoming the minority. They're just getting upset about it, so they just don't want it to flip.
The vocal,
which is why minority. I think we have blockchain technology that traces every fucking thing. It can be implemented into something for everybody to vote.
Well, let's do it. I mean, you have an extra 2 hours a day that you sleep, so get it done.
No, I've got to sleep.
Where's your Starbucks?
It's gone.
You're going to be fading here shortly.
It's gone.
All right. So we argue about the Northeast Regional Library, and then I move over here away from the police officer because I have my water. My friend is a reporter. And I go stand over there, and then
don't tell me you pushed somebody.
No, I didn't. Okay, someone else committed assault. But I walk up here, and the board president says something else that was just bullshit.
Here's what I'm saying, because to get arrested, you have to have done something.
I did not. I exercised my freedom of speech. I told the board president that he was being disingenuous, and it was apparently loud enough that he was like, he needs to go.
I mean, did you say it in a way that this is fuckery, or did you just eloquently just tell him, hey, look, this is a lie, or whatever?
Disingenuous was the word that I used. I didn't even say you're a liar. I said that's disingenuous. And the officer came and told me that I needed to leave, and I looked him in his body camera, and I said, no, you need to leave right now. No.
What was the reasoning for leaving? Did he give you a reason?
No. He told me I need to leave.
Kind of like when they stop you, they got to tell you why they stopped you, right?
The reason why is because the board president told him to. And so...
And you did nothing.
He points to the door and says, get your things and you need to leave now. And I said, the only way I'm leaving is if you arrest me. And he looks at the board president and I said, take all the time you need. And they walked off to have a meeting. And I said, I'll come and drag the next time. And I am.
Yeah, they can't stop you.
I've done drag one time before and it was busted, but I'm already working on a team to go and do drag. I'm probably going to sing my comments. Yeah, I'm going to make sure that all the TV stations are there too and they can film
Bring your attorney with you.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say, bring your attorney.
No, my attorney definitely won't be there. I definitely won't have First Amendment auditors planted in the audience from now on. Oh, he's going to be paid.
And that's why Texas likes to have their They're private meetings now.
Yeah. So
closed sessions.
So they go into this little room that's labeled pantry, and it's him, the officer. He was very handsome, by the way. But anyway.
Oh my God! Stop being driven by lust.
I'm not. I'm actually a demisexual. I don't experience sexual attraction the way that most people do. He was attractive. You're attractive. You're attractive. I can find beauty in everything. It's all very...
Okay, as long as it's not just like a...
No, I'm not like, oh, yeah, boy. No. Hello? No, I'm very family friendly when it comes to that.
Okay, all right.
Now, what happens behind closed doors stays behind closed doors.
Oh, Lord, there you go.
So,
that's when the lust take fire.
No, if I know somebody, it get real. But, I prefer a connection. So, anyway, they go have their little meeting off to the side. It's the board director, the board president, the library director, and the deputy sheriff. They go off to the side. And while this is happening, some gentleman from across the way, actually, his name is... I can't remember now. Randall Caffrey of Webco Coding. Feel free to Google it and call in. I don't even know. No, it doesn't matter. He's wearing his work polo, and his name says Randall. Oh. And he comes up to me and he says, "Do you think children should be taught to be courteous in school?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I don't know what that has to do with building of the Northeast Regional Library. I'm just asking everyone." I said, "Listen, dude, I'm here to sign up."
I'd be like, "Why are you being confrontational?"
I said, "I'm here to, because I refused to leave when the cop said, and Blue Lives Matter, and my wife is in the kitchen cooking beans barefoot and pregnant. Bitch, you better bring me a Bud Light."
Fucking Blue Lives Matter shit.
I'm watching my
sense
NASCAR.
Of entitlement that people put out there.
We don't want you faggots in our library. You better shut your mouth. No, I'm not going to. Anyway, so I said, that's not what I don't know what that has to do with building the Northeast Library. I said, I came here to talk to the library board. And if you would like to speak to the library board, I would encourage you to sign up.
They'll be back in a minute.
And he's like, "I don't want to talk to them. I'm talking to you." And I was like, "Well, I no longer wish to speak to you, so I'm going to go to this other side of the room." I'm very diplomatic and non-confrontational. Yeah. I'm a peacekeeper. I'm a diplomat. And fuck you, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, don't touch me. Certainly don't touch me. I'll lay you out. And that's what I told him in his ear when he followed me across the room and started messing with my friend Leslie, the reporter. Another reporter films it. He puts his hand on her and her camera. And
hopefully she's pressing charges.
She is not. There is pressure for her, too. I am pressing charges.
People have to learn lessons.
I am filing a criminal complaint against him with the sheriff's office because he assaults this woman. He intimidates my friend. I tell him, "I'm going to lay you out if you touch her, bro." He touches the reporter. She can handle herself, and there's all eyes on him. And I knew he wasn't going to actually hit her, but I had grounds to knock him the fuck out because he put his hands on somebody. Not going to do it because then that's just going to solidify their case.
Yeah, that feeds there.
So there's video of all this on my YouTube channel. So the cop comes out. He is informed that this man assaulted Claire. Her name is Claire Taylor. She's with the Acadiana Advocate, and she wrote a beautiful piece about it. It's probably the one that you read. And that's the reporter that he assaulted. She's filming him as he comes up. "Hey, how you doing?" And she grabs her camera. So they informed the deputy about the assault. And
that's why I couldn't do any of this, because I would have just laid him out.
So
right
he
then and there.
Is made to leave the other side and to go to the other side. And he literally got to his place and he shouts, "Anybody else want to disrupt the meeting?" And all of my sort of friend group are like, "Yeah, we do if they're lying or whatever." And so the deputy's like, "Sir, that's not helping anything. Sir, that's not helping anything." That's how we're...
Why don't they ask him to leave?
That's how we're handling a person who you just found out assaulted a woman and is shouting loudly in a room, but you want to mess with me. At this time, as would be as poetic as most of this shit is for me, I'm seated cross-legged on the floor behaving. And when he circled back to me, the only other thing that I said to the man was, "I completely understand that they're back there Googling laws to have me removed. People like that love nothing more than to tell people like me that I can't be here. And it's because I'm queer and because I like black people." It all sort of simmered. It calmed down. I went outside to smoke a cigarette, escorted by a 16-year-old girl who had the balls to come sit next to me while I was on the ground. She told me, "I'm going to walk with you." She was concerned for my safety. We walked out to my car. And I smoked,
because you've got all this brutality that keeps going on.
So I smoked a cigarette. I come back in, and the meeting is back underway. And I hear there's a supervisor on the way. Cool. I'm still going to exercise my First Amendment rights. So I get called back up to the podium for the amendment to lease a building instead of purchase is up for voting. And while I was out, it did not pass. So now we're back to the original motion to move forward.
Who's voting, though? The
board
members that vote. And then,
correct.
So the people are just watching.
It's public comment. Everybody gets called
So it's
up.
a public quorum. Then.
Yeah, that's the point. It's let us hear from the public about how you feel about this issue. You sign up to speak. You write down an agenda number, and everybody can do it. For the local listeners, I mean, I'm going to be sharing this, so I hope you do get some more listeners. Please subscribe to this dude's shit. He's a great guy. Anyway, sorry, I'll plug you as much as possible. We don't need, I feel like you can probably work with, like I said, 37 minutes a day. So, you go in, you read the agenda, and you sign up to speak, and they call you. And so when there was an amendment, everybody got up to, say what they wanted to about the amendment. And then when that didn't pass, then you speak on the initial item.
What if the public is in a disagreement and they vote against it? How does that work? I mean, does it carry on if the board's like, hey, we're going to do this, and the public's like, fuck no, you're not?
Quite literally, the public has no real power other than to just say how they feel about it. Your power is at the ballot box by getting these folks removed or leading a recall. But these people are appointed. Like, there's no real say. You have to find, like, the parish council would have to be replaced to have any sort of change at the public library.
So it would take... It would take essentially getting rid of the mayor to get rid of these people because he's the one that put them in place.
The city council, the parish council.
Okay, yeah.
And he gets one appointee who once this happened, he immediately left the dais to go and make a phone call. And I'm sure he was calling.
Of course.
I want to know who knew what and when they knew it. So I come back in, and the meeting has simmered.
I think we did the wrong thing, man. Come back next week for part 2.